A ruling is expected tomorrow in a lawsuit over a petition that would make it more difficult for lawmakers to change what Missouri voters put into law. Our Missouri Capitol reporter Hannah Falcon has more.
The crux of the lawsuit is this. The Secretary of State says this petition violates several parts of the Missouri Constitution, so it cannot go on the ballot. However, now he's being sued by the campaign Respect Missouri Voters, who says not only is their petition constitutional, but he can't stop it from going on the ballot. The petition would require ballot summaries to be clear and unbiased, preserve the citizen petition process, and make it harder for politicians to change or undo voter-approved measures. Secretary of State Denny Hoskins claims the petition violates the Missouri Constitution's single-subject rule, but the campaign claims ballot summaries and legislative changes on ballot measures are the same topic.
The fact that Secretary Hoskins doesn't like it is no reason to deny the people a vote.
Attorney for the Respect Missouri Voters campaign, Chuck Hatfield, says the Secretary of State has no grounds to deny a petition other than it not collecting enough signatures. Court filings reveal the petition did collect enough signatures to qualify for the ballot.
Ultimately, what I think it boils down to is, does the Secretary of State have the ability to keep something off the ballot even though hundreds of thousands of citizens have complied with the constitutional requirements and asked that it be put on the ballot?
Hoskins won't comment on the trial until the ruling, but I spoke with him after the lawsuit was filed last week.
Well, most certainly, if there's a court order, we will follow any court order that comes down. And I've always said that, hey, any Tom, Dick, or Harry can file a lawsuit, but I'm going to stand on principle. I'm going to stand on the Missouri Constitution. I'm going to stand on Missouri state law and protect Missourians from these out-of-state sugar daddies that are coming in here and think that they can buy the Constitution, they can buy state law.
Whatever decision the judge makes Wednesday is likely to be appealed. However, this entire legal battle needs to be over quickly before ballots are printed on September 8th. Reporting in Jefferson City, I'm Hannah Falcon.